What's your vibe on Dejounte Murray potentially being traded to the Sixers at this point in time?
I don't. I am not. I'm not in on Dejounte Murray, but I could be.
Okay.
I'm waiting for you to sell me, and I will listen to you. But I think the problem that I run into is like he's shooting well. He is
Yeah.
shooting well this year, and he has been better. I just don't know if I don't know if he's the guy. Like I don't know what. Again, I'm sure his value isn't as high as it once was. So you don't have to empty the cabinet necessarily, but you're definitely paying a price for him, right? And I just don't know if you slide him into the two spot there, is he willing to be that third fiddle? Is he willing to give up the ball a frequent amount of the time and play off the ball? Um, is he the guy to come into this locker room and be a part of this squad, and really not be the alpha in the room, times two? I don't know. I don't know if Dejounte Murray is a guy that coming in here is the right fit. And I worry that if that's the move that you make, he's a good defender, but I think that his defense is almost theoretical at this point. He is not what he once was meant to be as a defender. So I don't know. Tell me what you think, because I think if there's a meter of like yes or no, I think I'm probably farther on this side than I am on the yes side.
Okay, and I am having some lights blinking here, so shout out the storm coming through. Hopefully the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi hangs in here for the length of this episode. But for Dejounte, so I'll start by saying not a Dejounte Murray guy. That I've called his performances in San Antonio empty stats during his time out there, and still kind of feel that way. I think his defense, I think you hit the nail on the head that it is more theoretical at this point. That because he's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan, people picture him as being able of swallowing up guys. But that really has not been the case. His steal numbers have dipped some. He did lead the league in steals his final year in San Antonio with 2 a game. Those have sunk down to 1.5 and 1.4. Still pretty solid numbers there, but I haven't seen kind of the commitment to dig your heels and get low and slide with a guy. Now, I think a lot of that is because of Atlanta. That Atlanta just straight up doesn't play defense. That Trae
Yeah.
Young sets the tone with that there, and that the team follows. And my pushback to kind of him not having the ball in his hands, him all these things, he's kind of doing that in Atlanta already on a much worse basketball team. That Trae Young is incredibly ball dominant, and I'm honestly every time I've watched them this year, I've been like surprised with how little Dejounte has the ball in his hands. And to lay out his full stats on the season: 20.9 points, 5.0 assists, 4.6 rebounds, 1.4 steals, shooting a career high 6 threes a game, and connecting at 38.4%. That's significantly up from his career averages. Over his career, he's attempted just 2.9 3-point attempts per game and connected at a 34.3% rate. His catch and shoot numbers are much better this year. I'm believing that a little more. I think a lot of that has been a product of him learning how to play next to Trae. And there's no really team that you'll get better looks at than a team with Joel Embiid. That the gravity that he commands, every single shooter that comes to Philadelphia, Georges Niang, Danny Green, prime examples of guys that just saw leaps in their efficiency because you get clean looks that really just don't happen across the NBA. Now, I did want to slide one more question before I dig deeper into my sales pitch here, but if I asked you right now, Zach LaVine or Dejounte Murray, who would you rather have on the Sixers?
Puts me
I
in a
know
tough.
I know you're a UCLA guy, so I know
I
that's
am.
a
I
factor.
do. I I think I think that at their best, like Zach LaVine raises a ceiling more than
Okay.
Dejounte Murray does. So if that's what it comes down to, I think that I go with Zach LaVine there. And I think that I think I'm in the minority at this point, with this, and I'm okay to stand on this hill alone. And I don't even necessarily think or know that it's the right choice. But in my opinion, a guy like Zach LaVine, who has his deficiencies for sure, his flaws are public, but what he is elite at is something that every single team needs. He is a electric scorer, on 3 different levels. He puts pressure on the rim, as much as any other two guard in the league, and he is. I know. So from what I've read and heard, is not as like clutch or down the stretch, as I think maybe I remember him, or
Yeah.
maybe I think of him in a certain light. But a guy that can get his own bucket at any given time. And that's really important because when I think about the end of last season, and the way the offense looked. And I know that is different this year. I've been the one saying that. But at the end of last year, what it came down to was not defense.
Sure.
It was not what they needed. Joel Embiid makes life so much easier on his teammates on the defensive side. When it came down to it, they couldn't score. With all three, Harden, Tyrese, and Embiid on the floor, and Tobias the whole time. Those guys could not get a bucket. So that's what it comes down to me. And if I'm thinking that the only way out of that is to add another scorer, Zach LaVine is the way that I would go personally.